side of them are a logo, the hashtag live by the list. We order them through, what is it called, hon? Zenny. So they're like only, what, $70? Something like that, really cheap, even with the logo. Yeah, and I have bifocals even, so cheap, fun logo on the side and everything. So, yeah.
I just go to Goodwill and buy $2 ones. They're real cheap too.
Goodwill? Okay.
Yeah, Goodwill, secondhand readers, they're perfect.
Okay.
You'll figure it out when you turn 50, Brian.
Okay.
Thank God for Goodwill, right? Great. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. So before we start,
right.
let's, hey, so tell me something good. So Mike Murray, tell me something good.
Something good. My 12-year-old is getting his first COVID vaccine today. It's getting, within the next couple of hours. So he's kind of he's in a high risk category. So we've been really careful over the last year or so. Everyone's very excited about that. And then he has a soccer match this afternoon. So we're not sure how it's going to work out.
Well, good for him though, right? Yeah. So Brian, tell me something good.
Man, we're on our way as a staff to go watch a Brewers game, and it's like nice sunny day, so I'm feeling it. It's going to be a good day.
Sweet. And then you get to pick the next person.
All right, Mario.
Jesus is still on the throne. There is no gasoline in all of Tallahassee.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if you guys heard about the dumb panic that we went through.
Yep.
Good news. The gasoline will eventually get back to us. No, let's see. I'm feeling good. My health is good, and Jesus is good. That's my good news.
All right, and do a handoff.
Derek.
I mean, this is if this is allowed, support raising related. We had 2 new people come on over the last 24 hours. So like $50 a month and $25 a month. So feel pretty good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Good job. And,
Clayton.
Yeah.
I had a little boy turned 3 years old. Was it Friday? And we ended up picking up support as well this past week, and a lot of momentum.
Nice. Great. Dylan, do you have something good?
Yeah. When my dad passed away, I ordered a rose. He loved roses. And I got that in the ground yesterday, and we're hoping it takes root. But yeah, just a rose to plant in honor of my dad. It was a good moment for me.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And yeah, I recently got stranded and prayed, said, Lord, send someone. And someone like came right over to me and asked me, hey, you need some help? And yeah, gave me a ride. And it was a little bit of a redemption for her. So I won't get in the story, but it was kind of funny. But yeah, God's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sweet. And Tom ducked out on us a little bit, but he'll be jumping in, I imagine. Hey, so we'll have Dylan as our guest. 3 truths and a lie today. All right, so let's do that. And there's Tom. Hey, Tom, welcome back. Give us something good today.
Something good. Let's see here. We just got done with district council Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and just had a great time reconnecting with pastors. Had a guy in our section that approached me and just came right up to me and said, "Hey, we've been wanting to connect with you for a while. Would love for you to come to our church. We want to get more connected with what you're doing at Tennessee Tech. They're not too far away from our campus, and had one or two others that approached me. This year, I just tried to go into district council with more of a let the Holy Spirit lead me in some of those relationships or conversations, but also very much an attitude of I'm just going to go and hang out and not put pressure on myself to raise my full budget at district council. And so it was honestly, it ended up being the most enjoyable district council I've been a part of so far, and even saw a little bit of support come out of it too. So that's been good.
Nice. Well, that's great. Thanks. All right, so I'm going to put this in the chat. So put your answer in the chat. Which one do you think is a fantasy, or we call lie? So so this is Dylan's, right? So I helped deliver a baby in an emergency situation. I have a motorcycle endorsement. Tulips are my favorite flower. I've had dinner with Ben Carson. Tom says number 3. Derek says number 3. Mike says number 3.
Wow.
3's the big one. Mario and Brian says 4. Had dinner with Ben Carson. See, is that everyone? I think so. 5, 6. Yeah. So, Delyn, which one is the fantasy?
Well, number 1 is the fantasy. I was called to come, and the baby got delivered a couple minutes before I got there. So I just missed it being a truth as well.
And so tell us about number 2, motorcycle.
When my dad was living, he wrote a motorcycle safety curriculum for the state of Oregon, and it actually has been used all around the nation. That was in my teens. So when I was 16, he did that. And so I got my motorcycle endorsement at that time. Always had an infatuation with motorcycles. For most of my, like up to 35, I think every year on my Christmas list was a motorcycle. I never actually did get one, but I do love to ride motorcycles. So, yep, tulips are my favorite flower. And then I had dinner with Ben Carson and his wife a couple years ago. It's at a fundraising dinner. He was the guest speaker. Curtis was emceeing that event. And so we sat down with dinner before it. So
Sweet.
I actually sat next to his wife, Candace, and they're both very, very pleasant and very personable people. They were more interested in others at the table than they were themselves. Yeah, it was real fun.
Yeah, and he's a believer, right? Strong believer.
He is, yeah. Seventh-day Adventist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
There
good.
you have it.
All right. Well, over to you, Delyn.
It's great. Today, we wanted just to kind of brainstorm along with you guys and have a discussion in regards to time management and kind of what we're doing with that and just getting the ball rolling. I loved, Clayton, that you said you've got a little momentum going. So let's talk about that. Just wanted to know on the front end, how are you guys organizing your contacts? What have you done to help you with that? Let's just learn from one another.
Well, as far as we go, we chose simple is better. And since my wife is a teacher, she adheres to the Google Forms and Sheets Gospel. And so we utilize a Google sheet, basically Excel spreadsheet that we share between the two of us, because a lot of times when we're reaching out to new people, either one of us will be reaching out to them. It'll either be people that she knows or I know, and it's hard to get contacts synced up or whatever. So that's a good way for us tracking it, because you can see in real time just about, we'll get name, what way we contacted them, address, phone number, email, special notes, how much a month that they picked us up for. And there's a calculator in there at the top of how much our percentage that we're currently at. So we can figure that out just by plugging a few numbers in where we're at, just in a snapshot. That's what we do.
Great.
I use MPDX. It does all of that stuff without me having to do anything. It just automatically collects that data. I encourage you to take a look at that, guys, if you haven't before. I use that. Big thing I'm doing right now with my contacts is those that are current supporters. I've been doing my referral process that I've developed. I've got 65 referrals I'm working through right now, just using that alone. So that with my support base, and then I'm doing a lot of planning for. I have a huge trip coming at the end of this month that I'll be going through Montana the entire month of June. So I've got a lot of referrals out there, and I'm trying to get some more over this next week. I've got some more referrals that are in that area that I'm trying to get a hold of to book more appointments as I'm going. So that's kind of been how I'm tracking stuff.
So with MPDX, Brian, you have to use the daily email that you get, right? Or does it?
That's correct. You
automatically-
get no, so you get the daily email, you save the file, and then I've trained people on MPDX actually over the past couple months, even in support raising training classes. I've been Skyped in to teach people how to use it. But it's just a simple go in, organization, click on download latest, and then it automatically puts in your donations on everybody, gives you statistics of like, here's your percentage that you have, here's how much you have left. It does all of that.
Good. I'm going to say something just real quick. I don't want to land here very long. U.S. Missions is making some changes to their database and our email system. We most likely will not get a daily email anymore. We'll have access to a database that we can just log into, and we'll see all the figures that we need to there. They're not asking my opinion. They've asked a couple Chi Alphans opinions about what that would look like. And through the grapevine, I heard about that. So I don't have it really any more details other than in the future, we probably won't be able to take that email, that daily email, and plug it into any other system because we won't get that email. So unfortunately.
That is
maybe
very
it's-
disappointing.
Yeah, it might be better. I don't know. Yeah, so without camping there too long, Brian, if you want to talk about that later, we can. So anybody else, how did you go about organizing your contacts?
I've used Donor Elf for the last couple of years. I decided $9.95 a month was a good investment. So that tracks all the dailies. I have a question about whether that's going to keep up too if that daily email goes away. But I haven't really integrated my prospects into that yet. I'm still just kind of I need to sit down and brainstorm a little bit about how to use Donor Elf's features with new people I'm trying to get in touch with. So I'm open to any advice.
I just have a shared doc with my wife. It's I think maybe the more detail oriented people would be pretty disappointed in me. But it's working, and
I'm
we
not
just
disappointed in you.
we just kind of update it in the process. I use Donor Elf as well, but just in terms of getting started last week, I was just trying to get started pretty quick. So my goal would be to kind of move things over there. I like Donor Elf just because there's less work. It's not as exhaustive, which would be beneficial, but just in terms of my life, it's just a little bit easier for me to manage because of what's like automated about it. So my goal would be to kind of move in that direction as time goes by. And I know you don't want to camp there. I just hope that someone knows that decision affects almost every single missionary in a negative way, which is kind of crazy that it would just come in an email at some point to us that those changes were made. But I don't know.
Mhm.
I guess I can try to talk to someone at some point, but yeah.
Yeah, whoever that someone would be helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know who you know that could help.
I don't know either.
Mhm. So good, good. I've used Storm. I don't know if you guys know Dan Gunther out in Washington. He put together what's called Storm. It's a pretty interesting website too. Not a website, but just it's a Google sheet as well. But he has it already set up. So if you're looking for something, connect with me and I'll send you the Storm, the Storm one. I think too that the one of the things Storm does is you give someone a category. So like if you're just kind of developing them into a potential donor, you give them it's a number 2 developing, and there's if you're waiting for an answer, that's assigned a number, and then when you look at your sheet, it's color coded, so you can just look at the colors. The cells get color coded, and you look at that cell color, and then that helps you determine that day what you should do. So if anybody is looking for something that would be interested, that would be great. Good.
Dylan, I'd be interested. I've been using Excel, and that's where I've been at, but I'd like to switch over to the Dan Gunther version. I talked to Greg about it last week, but I couldn't find the actual.
Okay, I'll send you the link. Yep.
Yeah. And one thing, I use Donor Elf, and one thing I like about that is there's a section for notes. So anytime I send somebody a letter, I just copy that letter into that notes section. And whether it's an outreach letter or a thank you, and that it's really nice because then I don't have to do a paper file anymore. So when I'm communicating with them, I can just
so you know, MPDX does all of that, you guys, and in the most beautiful fashion, because it even documents like your weekly, like how many letters did I do? What's the status of this person? Do I need to reach them to ask for a decision? Or I'm working on to build a relationship. It has all these drop-down things that you categorize people in and stuff. And then MPDX separates that all out. So you can go, hey, I just want to get a hold of people that I'm building a relationship with. And you can categorically do that with just a drop-down box. So I really encourage you guys to look at that too. Like it's free and it's all encompassing. So
it's great. Yeah. Good. Also let's move on to maybe another topic. Let's talk about our appointments. How'd you guys do about appointments? Someone share a couple stories about connecting with their potential donors.
So I've got one. We had a number of people that had dropped off before in the past. And so I started a campaign of going back around and contacting people and be like, hey, what happened? And 90% of the time it's, oh, my card expired and I didn't update it. And that's all it was. Oh, okay, cool. So that makes it really easy. And then sometimes we run across people that were just like, oh, we just sort of moved on or whatever. We didn't know if you needed us or not. It's like, are you kidding? But no, couple people, they had changes in their lifestyle, like they got married or they had moved somewhere else or whatever, and they redid their finances. And this story is about one of those that they got married, finances got moved around or whatever. And so, I had to go back and do another ask and then get introduced to their spouse. It says, hi spouse, and this is a former student alumni. And so I didn't know her too well, but we did a Zoom call like this, and he had been supporting me before in the past, but she wasn't really on board with any of it before that call anyway. But by the time the end of the call comes, long story short, we end up praying for the guy because he had massive injury to his leg. I think he tore his meniscus and he couldn't hardly stand. He was dealing with that and gout and whatever. and we ended up praying at the end, and the guy got healed over the video call, and so it was just like, thank you, Jesus, because we talk about it being ministry, and that's exactly what it ended up being. And right there on the spot, they picked me up for $50 a month, and then made another $50 verbal. He's like, I'll start at 50 now, but I'll increase it later on after I get this job or whatever, this kind of thing. So it was a good time.
That's a great story. Yep. That's wonderful. Good. That's going to be hard to beat, a healing during during a support raising meeting. So yeah.
I went to Steve Jobs' gravesite and I raised him from the dead. And
Me, I left a thing the other day that Marco Polo, if you guys didn't get to see it, but just one of my referrals that I've been working on. I was getting to my 9th phone call trying to get with them, and they finally got a hold of me as I was driving down the road to meet with some supporters to get more referrals. And as we were on the phone trying to schedule an appointment, they've got a baby coming. So he says, hey, can we push it back until after that? I said, sure, but I'm going to be gone all the month of June. So can we do it in July? And so we're going to get together in July at some point. But just as we're even on the phone, he says, what's your website? I gave it to him. He's like, where's your giving thing? He says, I'm just going to partner with you at $50 right now. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. So we got a pledge without even doing an actual appointment yet. So.
Wow. With someone you don't know. That's amazing, Brian. Great job. So when you're making those calls, Brian, are you just calling? What are you saying? Kind of describe to me what you're saying in that phone call when you're trying to connect and get an appointment.
Sure. So with the referral ones, I have a whole script that I have typed out, but basically it's, hi, this is Brian Bishop. I believe you received a referral letter from some good friends of mine named Dennis Rebecca Schmidt. They thought that you might be interested in hearing about this ministry Chi Alpha that we do. And so I'd like to see about maybe taking you out for coffee or lunch sometime to share and just get to know each other. And that's basically it.
Okay. Do you mention that's a phone call, right?
Yep.
And then do you mention budget at all in there? Budget goals or finances or anything?
Not in the the referral letter they get from my supporters says, hey, this guy is trying to raise up a financial team of partners. And so I thought you might be interested to hear about it. So they're already preemptively know that that's what I'm calling for. That's what we're trying to do. And then on the phone call, I just say, I want to share this ministry with you because we have to raise up this team of partners when I actually get them on the phone. But that's as far as I go because I don't go into the numbers over the phone. I'd rather get in front of them to talk about those.
Okay, good. Great. Someone else maybe describe a little bit of how they're the kind of the script that they're using on the phone to get the appointment.
With a few, my initial is like a text message with some of our alumni and things like that. And at least with the people that I'm close to that I feel pretty confident in and I talk to a lot. And so I'm usually just trying to make sure that I include the idea of financial support, just in the first message and trying to get that, in there, but then set it up. And with a couple of them, I've tried to make clear, and this is just me, but we have, some of our alumni and some of the people I'd be reaching out to are connected to a lot of people. And so in some of those cases, and I know this is not like support raising one-on-one, but I'm trying to include permission to say no to me, just because I'm the director and I don't want them to feel like and I'm okay with that. In other words, we have some other options. So that's not something that I would do with, most people, but I would say half the people that I've reached out to, I've tried to kind of give that. And it's still, all of them have still said yes to meeting and being on board. And then my second thing, which is not necessarily a script, but I try to transition to including Jordan in a text with that person's spouse, just to get it scheduled. Because, and that's, Jerry was asking me last week about how Jordan would be involved in the process. And that's become a kind of a go-to, because it helps me to go from getting, you know, a yes to the appointment to actually getting it on the calendar a lot faster. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
I love that, that you're including all the parties that need to be included
Yeah.
for the appointment. So that's great. Yeah, I love that. That's a great addition. Good. Anybody else? Howard, you actually, what's that phone conversation like when you're trying to get an appointment?
I'll let you know as soon as I get somebody on the phone, actually.
Okay. Are you having trouble getting on the phone?
Yeah, I'd say almost all communication is, you know, initial informational email, and then following up with Facebook messages, texts, and yeah. For some reason, the people I'm trying, you know, in this first wave, they're, you know, that's their preferred communication. But I think, yeah, the process is pretty much the same as what Derek was talking about. Just clearly lay out in that first communication that that support raising is, you know, the primary goal or one of the primary goals of this, and then work on, you know, getting face to face.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Well, Greg helped me in my one-on-one last week. You know, I was struggling to get phone number because I don't have everybody's phone number, and but everybody on my list I want to reach out to is on Facebook. So I've been using Messenger to make an initial contact, and then I would have a phone call on Messenger, which I've never done before. I've always used other forms. So it worked out really good so far. That's how I've been initiating through a message. And so, and particularly the alumni that I'm dealing with would fall in that Facebook category. So it's working out for me. As far as pastors, I would say I'm just like Mike. It's been tough to get an actual conversation, but getting there.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I
one
could just
thing
say, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that, yeah, I've realized over multiple itineration cycles that there are different strategies when you're trying to get to pastors, and then individuals that you know well, and then individuals who are kind of acquaintances. So it's, you know, it's not a one size fits all situation, which I'm sure all of you have already realized. But it's just something I have to remind myself that. In my coaching call with Greg last week, he reiterated that as well. It's a different game trying to get through to a pastor, and you know, we're all ministers, so we know how busy they are, and so I'm going to give some grace, and you know, just be patient, keep plugging away.
Mm-hmm.
For pastors, I just always remind myself that they're getting called by thousands of missionaries all the time, and so to get my name to really stick out there, is I have just a strategy of calling them twice a week and emailing them once a week, up to 10 times the points of contact, that usually will garner a phone call back if I don't get them on the line. And it's usually when that happens, the pastor's like, thank you for trying to call me again. I've been so busy and I'm really sorry. I'd love to get with you, or whatever the case may be, kind of thing. But I do I call them a lot. Matter of fact, a lot of pastors in our district think of me as the nagging widow before the judge. It was saying, give me justice, and I'm the nagging widow that says, give me a service, give me a service. So I wear them down.
Mm-hmm. You know, I into January took a support raising training class with Support Raising Solutions. Many of you guys may have heard me say this already, where we're where there was we got a lot of our material from Support Raising Solutions, along with some things that Mike and Greg and Curtis have added to that. One of the things that they're doing now is literally just picking up the phone, having a list of people and numbers, and picking up the phone, and the phone rings, they answer, hello, and how are you? This is Delenn. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? Well, I'm really excited about a new opportunity that Chi Alpha is giving me, and I'd love to schedule an appointment with you so I can share my ministry vision, my budget goals, and how God is using Chi Alpha to transform the lives of students. Would you be up for connecting with me next week? And maybe say a date, Thursday at 5 p.m. And I tried this kind of method. I had 20 names in front of me, and I just decided I was going to see how many names I could get, how many appointments I could get scheduled in 40 minutes. And I ended up with 11 appointments at the end of that process. So it's not. It was a bit of a challenge to me. Support Raising Solutions is calling it the pre-appointment call. In Chi Alpha, our kind of 101 training, we do a pre-appointment letter. This is a pre-appointment call instead of the letter. I decided just to try it because that's what they were training. It seemed to work for me. The hard part is when you're on the call to not have since you have them in the moment, it's hard to not have the appointment then. And that is very discouraged with Support Raising Solutions. They're saying the appointment is really important because that's where you really can cast your vision and really, be able to share clearly and have all the people in the meeting that need to be in the meeting. So just another way of maybe going about that, just really trying to get those appointments. So, hey, tell me a little bit. Last week was kind of your first week. Share how it was transitioning your time to campus to 20 plus hours support raising. How'd that go for you?
Hey, I'll go first. I had no clue how much time this would actually take, and I may have said yes too quickly because I have 2 district councils. I have to go to Springfield next week. I have some ministry training that I had last week. And so finding those hours have been incredibly more difficult than I guess I should have asked more questions on the front end. I kept thinking that, I could probably do very little in May and then June opens up. So I'm a little behind, and it's no excuse other than, is that me? Yeah, it's not me. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a hard challenge on my end.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mario, for your vulnerability there. Someone else, how's that shift going for you?
A lot of students that were like, go ahead.
Brian, you're frozen, so let's go with Clayton.
Okay. For me, it's just like each year, you get into the summer, it's just like, okay, so we're not doing one-on-ones each week. It says, no, we're not doing that. In fact, I'm going to be support raising basically full-time is what I'll tell them. Oh, okay. We'll still do like Monday night stuff. Yeah, we'll still do Monday night stuff. We'll still have like big D group or what. Okay, cool. So there's that explanation that has to go through the whole group of telling them that kind of thing. And, but no, the transition hadn't been too bad because, during the summer, mainly we just have a couple meetings a week. And then we've got new student orientations. And so it's kind of backed off a little bit. And we still got a summer mission project as well. But I think that a lot of prep work went into before this. And so it really helped. So it would free me up to do 20 plus hours. So it wasn't too bad because I kind of figured, I knew approximately what I was getting into. Let's put it that way.
So tell me, Clayton, how have you adjusted your schedule? What is it looking like this last week?
This last week, is I will have my in-laws come over and watch the kids, and I will go to campus just to support Raise, even though nobody's there. It puts me in a frame of mind to be like, I'm going to work, you know, instead of sitting at the house and, you know, okay, then I'll run off and go do an appointment, and I'll do the appointment out of campus is what I'll do. That way I'm in the frame like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. This isn't something on the side that I'm setting aside time specifically for this.
Okay, good. Someone else, how has making that shift with your time worked out for you?
Something Jerry's helped me with, you know, in our coaching, just trying to talk through it. It's just tough. I think the hardest thing is, you know, accounting for everything. You know, just like tomorrow, yeah, you know, I'm just trying to finish some things up. And you have, like for me, I have with the district director side, I have assessments that I have to do. With our staff locally, I have end of the year reviews to do. And then we also have end of the year planning. So kind of my idea is like the morning time will be our end of the year planning, and then the afternoons support raising, but that just gets real hard real quick. And so just trying to make sure I'm carving out time. But it's just really hard for that to not creep in, because obviously you got a lot of things that are due like Saturday, with just getting things done, whether that's, I mean, for me, trying to schedule things out with the school year ending, I'm almost all the way done with taxes, but need to file them. And then part of the way through the census, but need to get it turned in. And then also reaffiliations. I'm just saying you get to May and you feel like, okay, we're done with the year, but then it's like, oh yeah, this is the new job that you have. And so trying to figure that out. I think I'm good. But I think these first 2 weeks, so I was telling Jerry, is going to be the hardest. Just getting that stuff done and moving on to the next. But it's been good. I mean, honestly, the cohort for me, just, I mean, even if this meeting was 20 minutes a week, I'm not suggesting that, by the way, but just even the need for it, coming in here, it just helps me a lot to get that stuff organized in my head and make sure that I'm coming into this with that, because it'd be really easy to put it on the back burner, but it's pretty hard to do when we're getting together every week. So I do appreciate it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tom, we haven't heard much from you. How has the adjustment been for you?
Still making it. Last week, I was able to put 3 or so hours for the most part each day last week towards support raising stuff. Got 30, 35 phone calls, not connections with all of those, but had some appointments scheduled, got some support that came out of some of it. And felt like I got off to got some of that first initial momentum. And then with district council, it was just like a hard push on the brakes after some strong momentum. And so I feel I recognize that I haven't had the opportunity over the last 4 days to get reorganized. And so I think usually the less organized I am, the more stressed I can be. And so that's my main goal, is just to get reorganized and make sure I follow up with people that I need to follow up with. Yeah, like Derek said, the cohort, the Zoom call in and of itself is, aside from the input, the conversation, all that stuff, like just having this is helping it stay on my mind better, and helping me maintain some of the urgency with it.
Yeah, it's good. I know in the pre-work, you guys put together a calendar, kind of updated what days of the week you were going to try to do the support raising. Obviously, that changes every week, right? Because district council gets thrown in there, or other things. So, yeah, just want to kind of give you guys just the encouragement to make sure at the beginning of the week, every week, you're looking at your calendar, you're blocking the time off somehow, and making sure that you are looking at that and making sure that the hours are spent. Appointments are what we're going after. It doesn't necessarily mean hours worked. So some of you with your coaches, you may want to set some goals about how many appointments each week you want to have, and then whatever hours it takes you to get those appointments scheduled. Maybe that's a way to go about doing that. So, but we do know it's hard in this season. And Derek, yeah, assessments. You and Mario, I think both have added that to this time of year. So I know that's a lot of stuff you're working through. Appreciate your guys' efforts. What about momentum? So what helps you get momentum and what helps you keep it?
For me, it's just the first dial. As soon as I do that one, all the other ones are just like, okay, I got the first one out of the way. I've got 20 more for the day kind of thing. I'm like, I just do it. Like it's always the first one that's the hard one. But once it's out of the way, I just keep going kind of thing. And so that's how it works for me.
What gives you the momentum to make the first call?
Coffee.
Coffee.
The only being at 80% of my budget.
Okay, yeah.
That's unacceptable. And I've got people depending on me and students that want us to be on campus in the fall. So my motivation is to be there for them. And I sit down on my computer when I first log into the internet, the first thing that comes up is my MPDX. I'm in work mode. This is what I'm doing right now.
Okay. Hey, that's interesting. Just have it pop right up when you open your computer. That's good. Do you have any visual at all, Brian, or something that's helping you recognize where you are, or is it just your MPDX with the percentage there?
With MPDX, so the dashboard comes up and it gives me, here's your numbers, here's how much you got this week, here's how much, here's how many dials. So I just see it right in front of me. It's color coded in different ways. So, yep.
Okay. Great. Someone else, what helps you develop momentum and what helps keep it going?
I already kind of mentioned it a second ago, but just staying on top of organization. I believe that's our topic today. But yeah, the more organized I am, the more just everything is structured in my brain, at least, and helps me to not get sidetracked with worrying about the unknown things or the forgotten things, and just helps me to flow better. I'm like Brian. I if I can just sit down and get to what I need to be doing, the first phone call is all that I need, and then I just smash it out for as long as I can that day,
Good. Location, like Clayton, I think that's a big deal too. Like Clayton does, he just moves his, physical body to a place where maybe there's less distractions. So that maybe is something that helps momentum. What are other things that help you guys keep the momentum going?
For me, it is accountability, so I know Greg's going to breathe down my neck tomorrow or whatever the day is. And yeah, it's accountability. Got to get it done. Got to keep my word. So that motivates me a little bit.
I've been a writer for much longer than I've been in ministry, and one of the writing tips I picked up pretty early on in my career, especially working on like a long magazine piece that you can't just sit down and bang out in one sitting, is, you know, if you know that something is going to take 2 or 3 days, to not, you know, get to a paragraph and what you think of as a natural stopping point, and then just quit there for the day. So what writers will do is they'll quit when they have an idea of what they want to do next. So so they just write a little note, for like fiction writers will write a little note about the next scene that they want to write. So then when they sit down the next morning, their mind has already been working on what that next thing is, so that they're not just staring at a blank page. So I've tried to incorporate some of that stuff in like sermon prep, because I usually do it over a course of about 3 days. So that's one of the things I'm trying to figure out how I could incorporate that into my support raising schedule. And so one of the things is, if I know there's something that is particularly appealing or exciting for me to do, and it's toward the end of my workday, sometimes I'll just say, okay, I'm going to save that one for tomorrow. So the first thing in the morning I get to do is, you know, send a text to this friend of mine, and that kind of helps keep that ball rolling a little bit. It doesn't always work. There isn't always something that I can just say, all right, I'm going to push this off to the next day. But when it does work, it's pretty helpful.
Boy, I love that idea. I think that's outstanding. Outstanding. Yeah.
It's like planting seeds for the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Thank you,
sometimes
Mike.
you get to the moment and then you have to think, what is this? What am I going to do today? But if you already have the first step, it's great. Sorry, Mario.
I was just concurring. Thank you. I wrote that down, and that's a great piece of insight.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think kind of hinders you from being able to accomplish what you set out to do?
I don't want to monopolize the conversation here, but I'm a deacon in our local church, and we are dealing with an issue of church discipline right now, and it's, you know, spread over several weeks. So we're having very hard conversations, and, you know, I get texts from my pastor throughout the day. Hey, do you have time to talk right now? And I know it's important, so I say, yeah, I got 10 minutes. And that's, you know, as you know, this is very emotionally taxing, and it's a spiritual battle. And, you know, sometimes after some of those conversations, I kind of sit down and say, okay, how do I get back on this treadmill and get going? So, you know, that's just, in an ideal world, we could just block out a month and say, I'm not going to let anything else distract me. I'm just going to focus on this for this time. But real life and ministry still creeps in. And so that's kind of been what I've been dealing with over the last couple of weeks, saying, all right, my motivation is there. This is what I want to do. But yeah, there are other things that have to be addressed as well.
Yeah.
For me,
My biggest hindrance for me is when I get no's from somebody. You get a no, and then it's like, oh, I don't know if I can keep on dialing after you get that, you know. Throw a wrench in my day, and like, oh man, can I get through these dials? When it makes you feel down a little bit, it's like, do I even keep trying? Or you get to the end of the day, and it's like, you see the 30 dials, only 2 people answer, and both of them say they're not interested. Then it's a hindrance for the next day of like, oh man, do I want to do this tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tom?
Yeah, for me, it's just lack of structure. Going from a semester, like a weekly set schedule of, yeah, I've got structure to every part of my day, to transitioning into a different structure that I'm in, that still in the transition of not having established structure yet to some things. And yeah, like I was saying, the less organized I am, the more stressed I end up being, and the more stressed I am, the more I don't do well with all things. And so a lack of structure hinders me, because that oftentimes will play into my time with the Lord as well. And structure is just huge for me.
That's good. I know we all have things that hinder us. I want to go around the circle and everyone, let's share one practical next step that you could do. Try to make it specific that's going to help you with getting momentum going again for this next week. One practical step that you feel like you need to do to kind of get the momentum going. Maybe it's about your time management. Maybe it's just about momentum, either one.
For me, it's like this going into this next week, now that we're done with school. The past couple of days I've already cleared out my calendar of the Chi Alpha stuff on campus, and now it's going back into my calendars what hours are pre-letters, what hours are what it is, I'm doing it, but to have
Sounds like a video game.
for me is always
Exactly.
helpful. So I'm going to be at the beginning of next week to say here's what it's going to look like.
It's great. Brian, we're not quite sure what you said, but I'm sure it was wonderful. You're pretty in and out. So currently frozen in a really fun position. So someone else, maybe a step that they're doing.
For me, just a very simple bulleted list, to-do list, for the things that are not support raising. Just a checklist, things I got to do, things I got to get done. If I don't have those things jotted down, then I end up wasting some in between time, and then I remember, oh, I got to do that other thing. I was planning on doing some support raising, but actually I have to get that done immediately. And so so just a simple checklist is what I'm going to make as soon as I get off of here.
Good.
For me, it's I can have a weekly goal where I want to do something, but that doesn't really do me any good because I'm like, oh yeah, well, I've got a couple days, I can do this. For me, I have to make a daily goal. And it's kind of like what Tom was saying. It's like, not to be hyper spiritual or whatever, Jesus, like, hey, you be concerned with today. Tomorrow's got enough to deal with itself. That if I make a goal for the day of what I'm trying to achieve, this many appointments, this many calls for that day, I just stick with that. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I find I'm much more productive at what the time I have immediately available to me rather than, well, the week I've got 7 days or whatever. It's just
Good.
super practical for me.
Good idea. Derek?
Yeah, two things. One, I think I have got to the place where a lot of things are there at the front of my mind now as far as what potential conflicts might be. But I just think I need a really like sit down looking at the next 5 or 6 weeks and just getting realistic about it even more and starting to really schedule some things out, because I think that's going to be the biggest limiting factor. It's not as much motivation as like, yeah, pretending I have the time when I haven't actually made the time. So I think I need to work on that. The other thing I was thinking about was as I get further down on the list, starting to get to places where it's like a little different reaching out. It's a little bit more of a cold call. And I think starting to go sending out letters potentially, and doing that for a group of people, that I think that's something that could really help me, because that's a pretty on my end, it's a pretty I don't know what the right word is. Confrontational is not the right word, but it's not something that's going to take a lot to do. I'm not worried about what their response is going to be. I'm not waiting on a response from them. It's just requiring a follow-up from me. So basically it just kind of puts me on the hook for, the next thing. And so I think that's something that I want to do with that next group. And so I kind of just want to get those out and, put myself, I guess, for some accountability that way too. Those are the two things I was thinking.
Real good. Mario, do you have a couple thoughts or just one?
Well, something to get some momentum is kind of aligned to what Derek was just saying, just clear my calendar and no more, as I think Mike said, no more new appointments outside of support raising. Somebody calls like, hey, I need you, like I had a former campus pastor come from out of town and wanted to spend 2 full days with me because his marriage is breaking up, and what do you do, so I think I just got to be very forceful in making sure my calendar is clear to do what God's calling me to do.
Good.
If I could throw this out there really quick for everyone, this Friday at 2:00 Central Time, I am going to be doing a training with the Madison staff of Chi Alpha on the referral process that I have developed. It's about 40 minutes to an hour long to go through it, but again, I have 65 referrals from it. If any of you are really wanting to develop a referral process and you would like to be a part of that training that I'm doing, send me a message with your email address so I can send you an invite to the Microsoft team meeting that I am doing with them, if anybody's interested in that.
Thank you, Brian. Who else hasn't shared a goal? Mike, you didn't, did you? Yeah. What's yours?
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of good things. I'm a list person as well. I've got a clipboard full of, every Monday morning, I kind of look at my to-do list, but I love Clayton's idea of daily goals. Because things have a way of moving from one week's list to the next. But I think a practical thing that I'm going to do is I typically run in the middle to late afternoon. But I went out for a morning run yesterday and realized, like, when I got back, I was kind of rejuvenated, and my thinking was much more focused. I had much more clarity and energy. So I think I'm going to just my personal schedule, move the running, do my devotional time first thing in the morning, and then get out for a quick 3 miles and then get back and get going, rather than putting it later in the day. So I'm not sure that would help anybody else, but that's one thing I'm going to do.
Good. Good. Great. All right, Greg, off. Let's end there, and we'll pass it off to you for the last few minutes.
Okay, sounds great. Still in, and I'd like to share screen. So look at our numbers for week 1. And
Please don't show us your ugly onion sandwich again.
all right, Ed. Well, I'm just gonna have to probably do it again just because you said that.
Greg, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it, and I'm not looking forward to it. But I'm gonna do it.
Well,
If
it's
you
like
didn't see, if you didn't see, Greg put a Marco Polo of his onion sandwich in there, and it looks gross. Just in my
Yeah. Well, it's not as bad as like the ice bucket challenge. So, but maybe. And you might like it. It might be like the best thing ever.
If I do, I don't. Great, but
Yeah.
I'm not counting.
Right. Thanks. Hey, week 1, sprint totals, sprint by the numbers. So just no names, but kind of see where we're at. First person goal, 14 hours, 30 calls, 10 appointments, 10 kept, 150 faith promise. Hey, $20 bonus. So the bonus is $10 for doing the weekly update and then $10 for 4 appointments. So second person, same goal, 6 hours, 31 calls, 6 appointments, 5 kept. No money yet, but $20 bonus. Next person, 800 goal, 10 hours, 5 calls, 4 appointments, 1 kept, $50 faith promise and a bonus. And then 600, 24 hours, 52 calls, right? 4 appointments, 2 kept, and $92 cash, $20 bonus. And 600 goal, 20 hours, 57 calls, 2 appointments, 3 appointments, 50 faith promise, and $541 cash. Yahoo. $10 bonus. Last one, 1,400, 20 hours, 40 calls, 2 appointments, 4 kept, 4 faith promises, $40, $70 cash, $10 bonus. So, hey, some observations. So number of hours, right? So top is 24. Top for our calls, 57, right? And top for appointments, 10. Top for kept, 10. Top faith promises and top cash, 541. So good job. So everyone did the weekly update. So great. Good job there. And unfortunately, you guys got close, but didn't get the group bonus of everybody doing 4 appointments. So 4 were able to do that. So that's great. You guys are close. So hopefully next week, if everybody gets 4 appointments, you get an additional $10 bonus. But I wanted to say that, these guys that got 2 appointments each, they worked hard, right? So 20 hours for, calls, a lot of calls, and even they had a little more money than most. So, everything isn't in our control, but, working hard, that's it. And yeah, sprint by the numbers. Any comment or question about that stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to know how to work only 14 hours and get 10 appointments scheduled out of it. I'd like to know when you're doing your dials that you can get that many people to answer and schedule to have that kind of ratio. Like, I would love to hear.
Family. Call family.
Family. Okay.
I started easy. I started with my easy people.
Nice.
Other comments? Nice.
Another thing you guys may be aware of and already doing, but anybody that's dropped off your team, they're already on, that's an easy phone call actually. So be sure you're looking at that if you haven't. I connected with someone I was coaching yesterday. They have just over 200 donors. 79 of them hadn't given this year. So there's obviously a problem there, right? Like they're not maybe doing very good on their donor maintenance, but that was the list that they're going for. So that might be something you guys could work on too.
Nice. Yeah. And an increase is often pretty easy. If a person's given 50 or 75, it's pretty easy for them to increase another 25. If they're given 100, I've just asked, what do you think? Do you think you could go to 150? And then, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, pray about that. And again, right, prayer's key. having the Lord go before you with favor and anointing, and pray for one another, as well, because we're journeying together. All right. So, hey, any other comment or question before we go? Hey, so we have a few minutes left. How about a one sentence takeaway from this meeting today? Start with you, Clayton, and then you call someone else.
One sentence takeaway. Develop practical goals. I don't know. What do you think, Thomas?
I need to get organized and stay organized. Mario?
Sorry, Mike, but quit when you have the next point.
Mhm,
Stealing your point, Mike.
mhm.
I'm calling out Mike.
Follow up on lapsed givers. Brian?
You're muted, Brian.
Thank you, Dylan. My big focus is my Montana trip, so trying to get a hold of these referrals for that over this next week. Boy, who has, let's see here. Sorry, my thing is being weird. Derek.
I have some commas in mind, but get calendar for next few weeks, send out letters, and look at my lapsed giving list.
Sweet. Good. And everyone went? Yes. All right. Hey, so good job. And any last comment, Dylan? Okay.
Nope.
So yeah, so we're meeting same time next week, and then you have your individual coaching calls. And Derek, would you pray us out?
Sure. Well, we just thank you for this time together. Just thank you for the vision, just from Chi Alpha and this group of coaches to put us in such a good situation. And we're just grateful. We want to say that to you and grateful for them, God. Just pray that you would help us to stay motivated. The things that we talked about here today would not just be conversation, but translate into action, and that you would help us and give us wisdom. And Lord, that you would just continue to deepen the spiritual part of this and understanding, the depth of what we're doing and how it connects to our ministries and connects in our relationship with you and your provision for us and your support of us as missionaries. God, I just pray you help us walk in that identity and authority as we go out. And Lord, we just thank you for this time today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Great.
Amen.
Thanks. All right. See you guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yep.
Thanks.